I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers. Okay, now I'm recording. I didn't know you're... Okay, go ahead. You do that
You
voice.
said you were ready. You said you're ready.
I didn't say I'm recording. I said I'm ready. I'm making sure everybody else is ready.
Okay.
Welcome everyone to the comic book podcast. My name's Alex. Today I'm here with my two best friends.
French friends. Yes. People of France.
We're going to talk about comic books.
Oui.
Did you guys make it fun of my... I can't help it. I can't help how I talk.
Well, I didn't know we'd be recording with Boogie today, but
oh my God!
See you
is
guys.
that how Boogie sounds? Is that Boogie's voice?
Kind of the alter ego, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his like it's
Francis,
Francis. Yeah, he was like,
fuck this.
he was like that.
You bullshit.
If you want to do a Boogie impression, just put a stick of dynamite in your mouth and just let it explode.
Yeah, and then e-bag right after.
Yeah.
I used to like the Numa guy.
Who's that? I've heard that expression before. I don't know who that is, though.
Well, back in early YouTube, when it was just days of video sharing, there's one guy who did like a karaoke cover of the Numa song, and it was like kind of viral because he was just being like massively gesticulating with his mouth, like while singing this song. You'd be like, Numa.
Yeah. Yeah, he had like the
It's kind of
headphones
iconic.
on. And, yeah, so he was like in his webcam with the headphones. It was like Numa. He was like kind of like that.
That's funny.
Yeah,
It was one of the first YouTube videos I ever saw. My aunt showed it to like the whole family, and we're all like, "Wow, this YouTube thing is so cool!" You know, because
it was so innocent. It was so innocent back then, man.
Yeah, back then you'd see something on YouTube like, everybody gather around. There's something in this video that you have to see.
And then you'd watch like a chipmunk turn around or whatever the fuck that one was. That was like the dramatic hamster. I think it was a hamster. That was like, you know?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, ah, or like the Charlie bit my finger kid, and you'd be like,
Yes.
ah. Yeah.
I only bring it up because they're of similar stature, but and I guess physical appearance.
Boogie and Numa. I wonder how Numa's doing. Hopefully better off than Boogie.
Yes, yeah, he's done modern covers of the same song.
Does he? That's cool.
Yeah, another one was Chocolate Rain. You guys remember Chocolate Rain?
Oh, I love Chocolate Rain.
Yes,
Rain.
I know that one. The mid 2000s gave birth to like a lot of like 15 minutes of fame stars.
Mm-hmm. There was a Star Wars kid in his garage.
Yep.
Or that guy. Yeah.
That Arrested Development just redid over and over again.
Oh yeah, they made George Michael do that.
To the point where it was like kind of not funny.
Yeah. The point of those not being funny anymore was like when they were on South Park. When they had that one episode where they're all like in the YouTube offices or whatever. That was the moment, that was the moment where where I was like, well, that's gone.
Yeah.
There that goes. Like you've officially been parodying South Park, so. All right, guys. Welcome everyone to this special episode of the Button Mappers here during Comic Book Month. And we talk about video games. Obviously, that's our thing.
We do.
But it couldn't be Comic Book Month if we didn't talk about some fucking comic books, right? I mean,
right.
It's like in the month. It's like the name of the month. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all agree? It is there, factually?
I agree. It's there.
Good.
A comic book. Yeah.
So, we are going to go around today, sort of like we've done in the past. We've done book talks. We've done, like, cartoon talks and stuff. And we're going to talk about, like, what we read and all that fun stuff. I do want to, like, kind of talk a minute, before we get into that, though, and kind of ask you guys, like, what's your history with the medium of comic books? Like, do you enjoy them? Is it something you're into, like, researching or reading? And I'll start with Hetty.
Yay. I collect more manga than I do comic books, and really not that much. But I did used to go to those like comic cons and flea markets. Being here in New York, there's the New York City Comic Con every year. So sometimes we get passes and go inside. And usually I'm not really looking for comic books, especially because like I don't like the standalone like single issues that are kind of like flimsy and floppy, and I have nowhere to really keep them. They don't display well. So I've shied away from a lot of Western comics. But I have bought some cool ones. I have this really cool vintage like Walt Disney Donald Duck one floating around somewhere. It's like one of a few that I keep. I used to collect for series that I recognize, like The Darkness or Turok. So yeah, I was pretty excited about those. But again, I didn't really go too much into them. Now, manga, I did, get more into with things like Dragon Quest, having some. I do like the Zelda ones. I do have this like Shin Megami Tensei one. But again, given the choice, I'd probably rather play a game or even watch a show than read a comic book. And even then, I'd probably rather read a book. But I do dabble.
Okay. Spencer?
No, I don't. I don't really read comic books or manga per se. I've read them. I haven't not read them, but I've read them here and there. And kind of like Teddy was saying, I would lean towards things that I know of, as opposed to just like picking something off the shelf. And a lot of the comics I read, they weren't really like serial comic books. They were just like, here's a comic of Star Wars, and so I'd read like A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. I had those comics as a kid, which obviously were not comics first. They were made into comics after the movies, so they're just like an interpretation that way. But I always liked them. Let's see other comics that I've read. I read the Coheed and Cambria comic books because
Wow.
I like the music. The comic books are absolute garbage. From what I've read, they're just not very good. But at least it paints a picture of what the music is supposed to be about, and that's kind of interesting. But otherwise, no, I'm not a huge comic book guy.
Okay. Yeah, this month was an interesting pick for me because comics are something that like I've enjoyed. I would say more casually. Like I wouldn't call myself a collector. There are like a few different like franchises or things that I usually keep an eye out for. That like if I see a comic book based on one of those franchises, and I'll talk about that later, I usually will pick one up. But comics are kind of special to me because whenever I was a kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist. Like that was like my thing when I was younger. I like to draw, and I like to I used to draw my own comics and stuff. And I think even there was a couple situations where it's funny to talk about that. They're all bad. I don't have any of them anymore. But I remember one time we had like this bake sale type thing, and or like some sort of weird thing in like fifth grade. And the kid I was partnered with, his mom made these like spoons that like had like chocolate on them, and you put them in like hot milk, and you make hot cocoa with it. And so we were selling those, and then we were also selling a comic book that I wrote at the same table, and you can imagine which one we sold more of, the spoons. But I did work hard. I was trying my hardest at the time, and then same thing later on, like middle school. Me and a friend made a comic book at one point that was it was a crossover between Okay, this is before Brawl. It was the crossover between the characters of Smash Brothers Melee and the characters in Sonic. So like they would fight, and the only one we ever did was the first issue was Kirby versus Tails, and they were in like a haunted mansion. And I couldn't tell you anything else about the book except for this part that has stuck with me. There's a part where we made Kirby inhale a skeleton that's in the mansion, in the haunted mansion, and then he becomes like Skeleton Kirby. And back then I was like, that's so cool. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I made him eat like a corpse. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, over the years, I do have a good amount of comic books, but it's not something that I've ever been that into collecting as, say like video games. Like my collection, compared to other people is tiny. I do like reading them though. Usually I do them digitally though. I usually read them on my phone You know, like especially when it's like newer issues or like
Yeah.
ongoing series, like a Marvel comic book or something. Yeah, I'll read that on my phone because I'm not buying all those issues of whatever I want to read.
What's cool is like now, like I have friends that were into comic books, so they drag me to comic book stores and I would just like scoff at everything that was in there. But I did notice that they have those like compendiums nowadays. There's like large collections of like book sized things of like the history of like a certain superhero or something. So you could actually like that would be kind of cool. I've thought about getting something like that where it's like just read the entirety of like Captain America, at least for a certain time period. I'm sure it still goes on in some weird way, but like read like all of this part of Captain America, so you, just to get that understanding of it. That's kind of cool that exists now.
Yeah, for a while I was really into the comic Saga, and they would sell them. They sell them by issue, of course, but they also would sell them by volume, which is like I don't know how many issues is in a volume, but it's a good amount. So I would just buy the volumes instead of buying the issues. Whenever they came out.
Yeah.
So it'd be I don't know, it seemed like a better value that way. For me, at least.
I think that's a nice kind of workaround for like one of my major issues with comic book / manga is, they don't, you buy one and then it just isn't finished by the time you're done reading it. So it kind of leaves you on that cliffhanger, which I guess when you're watching like an anime or a cartoon is more acceptable because you can kind of look forward to the next one the next week and you just kind of keep going. Whereas like there's a monetary incentive. I couldn't imagine investing into a whole like Naruto series or something, for example, in terms of manga to try and catch up and see the differences. And that's the other thing is like there is already the anime version available and you're subtracting things like the musical elements, like the dialogue and all these things. So it's like, given the choice, what am I going to, I'm going to pick anime any day.
Oh, the purists are coming for you, Teddy. I hear them now. They've got their arms behind their backs and they're sprinting towards you.
Tell me why I'm mistaken. I'd love to know.
Around my birthday, my girlfriend bought me a volume of like the first 3 chapters of the One Piece manga. And I was like, oh, sick, because I love One Piece. I was like, oh, sick. But also, like, I'm never going to buy the other chapters because, it's still going. And I'm like, no, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like, it's cool to have the first 3 and
bookshelf.
like read them. Yeah. Like, it's cool to have the first 3 and like read them, but I couldn't imagine being like, I'm going to start collecting all the One Piece manga. And then that just is my life.
And that's the other thing, because I bought a comic book in preparation for this, and it's like you go to the comic book store, and how many times do you see volume 1 for the thing that you want? So you can't just like casually walk in and then go buy like the issue that you need. You have to do something like back order, at which point you might as well just order it online. So it kind of takes the fun out of it for me.
Sure. Cool. Well, today we are gonna talk about some comic books and stuff we've read today. Who would like to go first?
Before anybody goes, I just want to say at the end of this, I have a movie that I watched and I want to talk about at some point. It has nothing to do with comic books, but feel free to tap that card whenever.
You just want to talk about a movie?
I have my comic book that I'm ready to talk about, but
okay.
I also have a movie I think you guys will be happy to know that I watched.
Oh, okay. You know what? We'll save that for the end. We'll save it for the very end.
Yeah, stick around for Teddy's surprise movie.
Yeah.
Oh you button mapper purists out there will love it.
He watched Free Willy. I don't think we've ever referenced for Free Willy.
It's time to start.
A new day.
Yeah.
You know what? This is my month, so I think I'm gonna go first.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
Old.
Like, yeah. Well, I don't know. It seemed like it'd be fitting. So Spencer already sent you the thing. So I said earlier that I do collect particular series, and I can name some of those if you would like me to. I collect comics for the Evil Dead series. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. Archie, I like Archie. Not like Archie Sonic, but just Archie, the redhead kid. I have a bunch of his comics. And there's a few other ones, but a big one for me is the Turok series. Obviously, I'm a big Turok fan. I like the video games. And I got into collecting the Turok comics a few years ago. Teddy actually sent me some. Do you remember that, Teddy? You sent me some of the Valiant comics, which is the '90s one. And since then, I've amassed quite a collection of Turok stuff. And today I'm talking about a Turok comic from 1974. This is issue 93 of the original run of Turok. This is Turok Son of Stone. They don't really do a good job of labeling these old issues because this is a point where comic books are a month to month, like story to story. It's not serialized. So they don't have like you don't have to be like, well, I wonder what's gonna happen on Turok next week. Are they gonna finish? No, it's like each week you read it and it's like a self-contained thing. So this the cover of this one has Turok and his sidekick Andar. But if a little rundown on Turok is that he is a Native American, and so is his little partner, and they are lost in a mysterious world called the Lost Valley, which is inhabited by cave people and dinosaurs.
Mm.
So the all the stories are basically about them like in their misadventures, and they're always trying to get back home. So the cover of this one says Andor's boyish games are too dangerous for the Lost Valley, and I actually have the issue here, and you can see it has like really nice artwork on it with Turok and Andor and some cave people chasing them with spears. So there are two stories in this book. The first one sees Turok and Andar save a cave woman from a pterodactyl, which they call a flying honker because they don't know what dinosaurs are. And then they get caught up in a conflict between two warring cave tribes. Because the woman belongs to one cave tribe, and then she's like indebted as a slave to the other one. And then one of the guys from the other tribe wants to marry her, and neither tribe will accept both of them. So it's like this back and forth. And it's kind of fun, but it's also this issue. I picked it out at random. If you're wondering why I picked it, and it is kind of annoying because the cave people talk in broken English the whole time. So it's like, you go cave, me get rock, me hit dino. I don't know, shit like that. But like they're having serious conversations. So it's like, we marry, but you slave. They no accept. it's like shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Turok's caught in the middle of this predicament. At one point during the story, Andar is climbing to get some dinosaur eggs to give to Turok as a surprise, and he falls and hurts his leg. And the woman that they saved, it turns out she knows how to make medicine out of roots and berries. So she does that to help him. And then it turns out the other tribe that indebted her as a slave, like their I don't know, their chief or whoever the woman is, falls ill, and so they Turok helps the slave woman find the right roots and stuff to like help her, and that's how they're able to like clear up this warring between these two tribes. So yeah, that was pretty neat, and that's kind of the first story. Like I said, pretty self-contained. The second story is funnier. The second story is, and this is why the cover says Andor's boyish games are too dangerous for the Lost Valley. Andor's fucking tired of trying to find a way home, man. He's a kid, he just wants to fucking play. And it starts with Andar like hiding in this like weird ghillie suit. That's what they call them, right? Like the suits with like the brush and stuff on them. Like they're like, you blend in and stuff. He like made his own, and he like playfully attacks Turok. And then Turok's like, oh yeah, I forgot. You're like a kid. Like, you like to play and stuff. So Turok makes him a promise. He goes, okay, for 3 nights, we won't try to find a way home. We'll just relax and play. And it's like, we'll do whatever you want. So that's like the entirety of this story, is them just fucking around, which is kind of fun. So it's like, at first, they're like playing on this Triceratops riding it. And then like the mama Triceratops chases them. And then Turok's like, okay, we're done. You almost got us killed. And he's like, you promised we're just going to keep playing for 3 days. So then it's just stuff like that. Like they like slide down this like big rock into some water. And then I forget. Oh yeah, they get attacked by like a water dinosaur or something. Then I'm scrolling through. I forget what else happens. But anyway, each one is like them getting into like a little predicament. Where they're like, Turok's like, okay, we're done playing, and then Andor's like, you promised 2 more days, and yeah, it's cute. It like shows their like relationship, and Turok's more like a mentor figure for the kid, and then by the end of it, Turok just admits that it is nice to just kind of have some time to relax, and yeah, those are the 2 stories. They are basic. I had a lot of fun reading this though. Because again, this was published in 1974, which is a much different time. As you can see, it would cost 25 cents, brand new.
Mm.
And there's a lot of crappy advertisements for stuff you could order throughout this comic,
Oh.
which is why I wanted to pick an old comic for this. It's like the first one. There's like iron-ons for T-shirts, and they're really bad ones. Like one says "Keep on trucking." There's quite a few like images that I'm pretty sure would be considered like racist now and stuff in there.
Yeah, can you give us one?
Yeah, there's a Confederate flag as one of them.
Got one of those in my garage.
There's also another one. What are these? Oh no, more patches. There's patches you can buy, and one of them is a Playboy bunny patch. There's a Wile E. Coyote. There's another Confederate flag. There's a Felix the cat. There's like a peace sign. Yeah, there's a lot of shit. I was laughing. Hold on, let me get to the pages. There's one page that. Oh no, there's this one that was Endangered Animals by Revel, and you could order these animals. There's like that guy, and then there's these guys down here, and I guess they're toys. I don't know.
Well,
they're just drawings.
I think it's safe to say it's not the animal.
No, definitely not. But no,
animal crackers.
Yeah.
this page is the one that killed me because so they're selling mini posters. You for 65 cents a piece, you can get 88 mini posters, and they all look like shit. There's stickers and stuff, and then like some incense. But then this one, create your own giant 7-foot tall walking flashing robot monster. And then it shows the kid building a robot monster. That's like has to be like cardboard or something, right? Like
Well, cardboard back then was strong, and you couldn't punch your way through it. It was back in the day. They made it good.
You think that kid's in cardboard? I don't know. It's just I couldn't imagine ordering half this shit in these comics, but kids did because
Well, yeah, they didn't have cool shit like we did, like DLC.
Yeah,
and
like
phone
yeah.
games.
The internet wasn't a thing. Like you can't just go on Amazon and be like, yeah, can I get a robot?
Yeah. Like everything
some
you saw on those
crappy-
pages was like the newest thing to you. Like it's
some
like I
crappy-
can't believe these exist.
Like dog tags and rings if you want some of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Turok was a comic before the games.
Oh yeah. Oh, since the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Alex. This comic sounds terrible.
Oh, it's by today's standards, it's not good. But you know what? It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. I didn't say I read a good one.
Turok, that's an old man right there. He started in the 50s, and he's still going strong today.
Well, I picked this because I like this era of like comic books because again, this is before like serialization really like took off. So like this series, which started in the 50s and it was published by Gold Key, and then I think this one is Whitman because they switched names. It's like indicative of like a different time for comic books where it wasn't about like the space war battle is coming and we have to, it's like, no, dude, it's like week to week you would just get a comic and read it and be about Turok and his friend fucking around and you enjoyed the little adventure. You paid 25 cents whenever you went to the store to get a soda pop, and there you go.
Do the games reflect these comics at all, or is it a pretty strong departure?
not really. The game. Okay, so there's a few different runs of Turok. There's this run, which is the original run. There's the Valiant run, which is what the games are based off of. Which the Valiant run is like that's like Punisher level.
Oh, okay.
Turok. That's like guns and like there's no guns in here. He uses a bow, but like guns and like cybernetic dinosaurs and shit. And then Acclaim published their own comics, and then after that, Dark Horse and then Dynamite also had their own series of Turok comics. So Turok's been passed around in comic book form in different ways. So there's a few different like interpretations of the character. So the ones that the games are mainly based off of is like the 90s like edgy version of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you feel like the comics are more action focused or like plot focused?
It depends on which of the comics.
I like the one you read.
And this one, it's more plot focused. There was a few times where he uses like a poison spear to like shoot some dinosaurs, or he stabs one in the face with it. But they're definitely not as like, this one definitely isn't as fat as action focused as like the later ones, like the '90s series. Um, this one's more about just like the adventure. So I'd say
Do you
it's
have a
more story.
preference in terms of the Turok like eras, like the more plot focused or action focused?
Oh, definitely action. The '90s. It's because I grew up with the games. The '90s is closer to that, and all the Valiant and Acclaim stuff is that. It's and also I have a soft spot for that era of comics, because there's a lot of that stuff with like Image Comics as well, with like Spawn and like all that Todd McFarlane shit, where it's like over the top crazy drawings and shit and stuff. And that's kind of what comic books were whenever I was a kid, you know.
Can you show us one of the panels from this comic? I'm curious
Oh yeah,
what they looked like back then.
yeah. Here, I'll show you the first one with the girl that's getting about to get eaten by the flying honker.
Yeah, let me see that. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about on par with what I
Yeah,
was
and
thinking.
and then there's Turok and Andor. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. How many pages
not-
is that bad boy?
I don't know. Short. I read it in like 10 minutes today, so it wouldn't take very long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to sit here and count, but you know, it's a thin. It's because it's a single issue.
They don't
I
page
actually
numbers
have
at the
these.
bottom?
No. Nope.
Yeah. The one I read was about from that era. It had page numbers. They're like 30 pages long, but I swear like half of it was ads. So
dude, do you want to get Classy Crashers, which is a Kenner toy?
yes.
Crash some cars together. Now that I would buy.
Ram. What a weird way to spell that. Ram with a W.
Yeah, why's it got a W? Ram. Kenner. This is Kenner. Is this pre-Star Wars? What is 74? When did Star Wars come out?
77.
So this is Kenner pre-Star Wars toys.
Okay.
Ram.
Ram.
Yeah. I have a bunch of these the Golden Age comics for Turok because like I said, I've been collecting Turok stuff. We have a like a flea market thing nearby. Actually, a few of them. They're like the peddler's mall places where people set up booths, and then you go get what you want, and then you check out with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking around one day, and I was up by like the front where like they have the stuff that's like really valuable behind the glass. And then I saw like a stack of comics. And Turok wasn't in the top, but it was just like a bunch of old comics. And I noticed that like they were shit like Conan and like all kinds of like old like comics like that. And I was like, what the fuck? So I asked somebody to come over, and I was like, can you unlock this? And they're like, sure. So they unlocked it, and I was looking through it, and I noticed they had a bunch of Turok. And I was like, holy shit. So I was like, who owns this booth? And they were like, hold on, we'll get her. And it was like this little old lady that like worked there.
Yeah.
And she came up. She was like, are you interested in my comics? And I was like, the Turok ones, yeah. So she was like, okay, hold on. So I picked out all the Turok ones, and then she was like, I'll sell them to you for a certain, like she gave me a like pretty good deal on them all together. And then she was like, I think I have some more at home if you want to come back by like next week. I was like, okay, sure. So I did, and she had more for me. So I got like a shit ton of old Turok comics from this.
You should have hooked her up. Just bought all of them. Say, give me a deal.
I did.
I'll buy all. Oh no, all the comics.
no. Well, I don't want like certain ones. Like, that's the thing is that like I like to like collect certain series. Like I don't want to just buy a bunch of random comics that I'm not going to read.
Maybe you'll find a new favorite, and you'll help out that sweet old lady.
I guess. I don't know. Like, am I really going to read Conan the Barbarian? I don't know.
Yeah, Conan's uncle.
Sure.
The legacy.
Yeah.
Might be worth something someday.
Conan and the Barbarians. Hey.
Yeah. I don't know. It is cool to have some of these like vintage comics. I used to have some other ones too. I used to have some ones from like the 80s and stuff when I was a kid. Not Turok, but just like older comics that I was like so cool, So
yeah,
that's why I like collecting like these and like Archie and stuff, because again, they're from a way different time.
Nice.
Yeah. That was my little comic book. I read it.
Does he ever say, "I am Turok"?
No, but his name is actually Turok. See, that's also a difference. In this, his name is just Turok. So that's just his name. Because that'd be weird. It'd be like if I said I am Alex. But in the '90s version, which the games are based off of, Turok is like a name passed down.
Hmm.
So like the one in the Valiant comics is Talset, and then he passes it to like Joshua Fireseed in Turok 2. And he has his own comics. And then there's two kids in Turok 3 that have their own comics. So like Turok's like a legacy
Gotcha.
name.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then in this, he's just a guy named Turok.
I am actually Turok. That's what he should say.
My legal name is Turok.
Yeah, my legal name and my Native American heritage. Very cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't take place in like the past, or does it take place in the past, like with dinosaurs, or where is the setting?
It takes place in the Lost Valley, which is like so in Turok there's like the Lost Valley, and then there's also like they rename it to something else later on. I forget what it is, like the Lost Lands, I think. It's basically like a place between time and space. That's like,
oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
I think I went to a Denny's there.
Yeah, in the Lost Valley. Yeah, did you see a flying honker?
Yeah, I might have eaten one. I don't remember. It's been a while.
She did go ree.
Yeah, when it went ree, I said, "Shut up,
Shut up,
shut up."
Ram, right?
What
Yeah,
the fuck?
I went ram with a W.
Have you seen? Man, speaking of Denny's, you ever see that the metal band that played at Denny's? They're like, "What the fuck is up, Denny's?"
No, I think I missed that. But
Oh, it's great. Look it up. It's great. There's this Denny's that was closing, and this metal band played in it before they demolished it, and it was amazing.
It's great.
The last night at Denny's.
She literally said, "What the fuck is up, Denny's?"
That's what I say every time I go into a Denny's.
All right, who wants to go next?
It's your month. Pick.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Why would I let him go if he hollers?
I don't
So
know.
it doesn't like he bite you or something.
I guess so.
Why'd you grab him in the first place? If this is
So, I don't know. So yeah, that's a good question. How you get a tiger's toe? Oh my god, he's gonna rip you apart.
Yeah.
All right, since Teddy has to also talk about a movie, I'm gonna let Spencer go next and save Teddy for last.
Okay. My comic was also really old. I did the Incredible Hulk.
Ooh.
And I did number 180. Does anyone know what the significance of that comic book is?
Oh, I know nothing about the Hulk, so.
Well, you might not know enough about the Hulk.
Crossover. The crossover.
It's not a crossover, but by our terms, but it technically, I guess, in the long haul of history, it is a crossover. Okay, issue 180 is the introduction of the character known as Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I read issue 180, and I also read 181 because it carries over into that one. These are they go from comic issue to issue. So I was very confused reading this.
So they're like serialized.
Yeah, and they have like annotations in the strips that tell you like this was, by the way, this was from issue 172. I'm like, well, whatever. But okay, so it starts out with like it's weird because like the Hulk is in New York, but like in like northern New York, like where it's all green and like farmland, and he was like, I guess he was just freaking out. Like he was the Hulk. He wasn't Bruce Banner at the time. He was the Hulk, and these farmers were like bothering him, and then he realized that he just hates people, so he left New York and kept going north and entered Canada. So that's a weird plot device, is that he just doesn't like people. There's a lot of cuts, by the way. I'm going to try. And again, there's other like issues that it references, so I don't know the whole story. But then it cuts to there are no. Okay. It cuts to New Mexico, and the scientists are busy chipping away at something. They said, "Is Weapon X ready yet?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's ready to go." And then
expand.
Yeah, it cuts back to the Hulk, who has now entered Canada, and he's roaming around, and then he hears a voice in his head saying, "Hulk, Hulk," and he's like, and kind of like what you were talking about with Turok, he's got like a similar response, like, "Who dat? Who called to me?" And apparently he talked like that too. I didn't know that. But Hulk, like when he turns into the Hulk, he like gets really stupid or something. So like he said that, and then it cuts to like a witch. There's like a witch lady. She's got like horns on her head, and then her brother is hurt. He's like sitting. He's not well, I think. And she was like, I'm summoning somebody to help you. This is where I like really do not understand the ins and outs. So at the end of this, if you're confused, so am I. I don't get it. But like, she's like, I'm calling for somebody, and obviously, you know, it's the Hulk because you just saw him like get the telepathic message. So he's like, oh, who called to me? I'm coming. And then so he follows what he thinks is the voice, and he shows up to that lady, and a Wendigo appears. Now, Wendigo, for those that don't know, is like, it's a creature from the north. It's like it's almost like an abominable snowman, but in this thing, it's like a person. A person embodies it, and they're immortal. So follow me on that. I guess it's a person, but she turns out she knows the person. I don't know if she realizes she knows that person yet, but it's coming. And so the Incredible Hulk has fought this Wendigo in the past in one of the previous issues. So now he's going at it again, and they start fighting, and there's like a lot of action here. They're like throwing each other through trees, and they're fighting and everything. But they acknowledge that he's indestructible. So I don't really understand why they're doing all this. But it's then that finally, and this is at like the end of the issue 180, Wolverine shows up, and he looks terrible. Like, he looks so.
Is it the orange one? Is he in his costume or anything?
He's in his X-Man costume, the yellow one.
Oh, okay.
But the horns, like, it's not as sleek as it is in like what we know.
No.
They're just like very small horns, very, very small. And he has claws. I don't know if they establish like all of his powers. They say he has incredible stamina, but they don't talk about like recovery or anything. So he rushes in, and the three, like, okay, that's the end of that episode, of that issue. So then I was like, well, I can't just end there. I got to read 181. So now that's where they got their hooks in me. And so I was turned over to 181, and I'm reading all this on my phone. I didn't buy any comic books. I wouldn't get caught dead in some comic book store. Could you imagine them trying to talk?
Holy
to me?
shit! Is that Spencer?
Getting mobbed. So yeah, I was reading 181, and they all start fighting. So Wolverine starts fighting the Hulk, but his claws can't pierce the Hulk's skin. I guess the Hulk also has super strong skin, so adamantite claws can't pierce it. So the Wolverine gives up. He literally says, "I can't pierce his skin, so I'm gonna go fight the Wendigo." It's the most nonsensical thing, but it's very, very clearly he was built to kill the Hulk. So I don't understand why he would then just go out of boredom fight the Wendigo. So he goes and he fights the Wendigo, and they team up. Hulk and Wolverine team up to beat the Wendigo. And the stupidest line of dialogue I think I've ever read happens when they finally subdue the Wendigo, because Wolverine like stabs down, but it's almost like PG, where they don't show any blood or anything in these comics. So the Wolverine like stabs down with his claws, and they like finally said like he's down, and then they go, well, he's not dead because he's indestructible, but he's been knocked out by the Wolverine's claws. I'm like, knocked out by claws? Like, wouldn't he be like scratched and emaciated and like stabbed or something? But apparently his claws just knocked him out. I don't understand how, but that's apparently what happens in the Incredible Hulk. So then they knocked him out, and then now it's back to the witch. We're cutting back. The witch uses like a gas that knocks them all out, And so they all like get passed out. And then I don't remember if the witch did anything. She just talked for a little bit. And then the Hulk woke up because he is also like he's got strong stamina, so drugs don't hold him down very long. So then he woke up and was like, Wolverine, I'm gonna beat your ass. And Wolverine was like, well, get me out of these chains and maybe we'll try it. And then he goes, okay. So he gets him out of the chains because they chained up Wolverine. And then he gets him out of those chains, and then they keep fighting for a little bit. But it's not going anywhere. Although they acknowledge that Wolverine can't do anything to the Hulk. And also that the Hulk is 2 feet taller than Wolverine, which I thought the Hulk was way taller than that. I thought the Hulk was like 12 feet or 15 feet taller, some crazy shit. But no, he's just 2 feet taller than Wolverine, who I thought was also very small. I thought he was canonically very short. But anyway, they keep fighting, and literally nothing happens. It cuts to the witch lady, and the witch lady goes, she has like the Wendigo reappears. He's woken up, and she has this very heartfelt. And I felt like this moment was supposed to be very heartfelt, and I think I felt the emotion in it. She knows who that Wendigo is, and the Wendigo did some kind of ritual and brought her brother back to life, or cured his sickness, whatever was afflicting him. And then she said, like, why did you do that? And he said, because I love you. And then he cried, and then the issue ended. I said, you know what? That's a good stopping point for me. I don't think I need to read any more of this. So that was the Incredible Hulk 180 and 181. I don't know what's going to happen to Wolverine. Maybe he'll appear in another group at some point.
Wow. Yeah, dude, old like comics, especially old superhero comics, are dumb. They're incredibly dumb. That's the back then it was like not taken as, I guess, seriously. Do you know what year this was?
Yeah, I pulled it up. It was 1974.
Same year, dude. We twinned.
We twinned.
We twinned up. So you're telling me in 1974 I could have gone to the store with the whatever my allowance was, probably wasn't that much, and I could have gotten an issue of Turok Son of Stone and the Incredible Hulk, and I would have had the best night of my life.
Yeah, until 3 years when Star Wars would come out, and then that would change. Before Star Wars, it was the Incredible Hulk and Turok.
It is funny to, like, I guess if this is Wolverine's first appearance, I guess they didn't know if they were going to do anything else with the character.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why they were like, he can't pierce the Hulk's skin.
Well, yeah, and they had built him up too, because it said it showed the scientists in New Mexico, and it was like previously seen in issue 172.
No, okay.
So they had been working on this for a while, but why would you create somebody that can't cut through the guy's skin?
I guess the goal is to still maintain Hulk as like this hero figure and like impenetrable, and Wolverine is not necessarily like a main character at this point. He's still kind of like maybe we can do something with him. I am looking at the image of him. He looks kind of like a Birdman or something.
Yes. Yeah, he looks very
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't have like him beat the hero's ass. He's the Hulk. You can't have
Why can't he beat the hero's ass? Jeez, can we get some tension?
I don't know, because it was 1974, dude.
That's true. That's a good point. But it's like that's the basics of tension, is that your character's supposed to struggle at something. Jesus.
Like, yeah, I think like Superman didn't even die till like fucking the 80s, right, or something.
Well, yeah, but then you go like, "Ow, kryptonite" or something like that.
Ow.
Yeah, but Hulk's struggle is that it's not like on demand. He can just become Hulk. It's like when he gets pissed off, and then when he's not, he's weak.
Yeah, it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Yeah, and the stupidity is also a flaw too, because he just does dumb shit. Like ends up in Canada. Sorry, BioPhoenix and Legend of Leo.
It's a big mistake for sure.
It is funny because I mean, like Wolverine is from Canada now,
right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was confused when I was reading that, because I was like, He came from New Mexico. I thought he came. The Hulk specifically went to Canada. I was like, okay, that makes sense because Wolverine's from Canada, and they're like, no, he's from New Mexico. Like, why? Like, why did you do that? That's so silly.
Yeah.
Well, it's not where you're from; it's where you're at.
Yeah, you
The
know,
Wendigos.
you have to think at this point in time. I don't know. Was the Hulk series on like the Lou Albano one? If I'm not, they painted
Let
him
me look
green?
it up.
Because like Hulk was like a big character. Hulk used to be a bigger character than he is now. You know, not size wise, but popularity. Uh,
It's be a
he
smaller character.
it's like back then, like the big ones for Marvel were like the Fantastic Four, Hulk, and Spider-Man, but that one's stuck. But the Fantastic Four and Hulk haven't, and they used to be like big characters for them back then.
Hold on.
Spencer's looking.
Hold on. I looked bad. November 4th, 1977. So in 3 years.
So yeah, so Hulk's a popular character at this in history.
He really is. Why would the Hulk be such a popular character?
I don't know, man. He's a big green guy.
Everyone's got a little Hulk in them, you know. We all
He's
go
relatable. Okay.
a little mad sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
kids,
Hulk's
when you get a
cool.
little mad, it's okay. Just channel it, rip out of your clothes, and
Get some purple pants.
get some purple pants, and rip a guy in half.
Eat your broccoli.
Yeah, from the Green Giant.
Yeah.
Daddy, you ready?
Sure. Well, I have no physical Western comics on my shelf. I have like nothing but manga, but I wanted to be true to the theme of the month, which is comic books. I didn't want to do manga books. So I went to the bookstore, I went to the comic book shelves, and I thought it was about time I dabbled in one of the contemporary popular comic book series. Typically, when it comes to trendy media, Breaking Bad, I watched that recently. It's I watched that like 10 years after the fact. Everybody tried to turn me onto it at the time, but it just was the wrong time and place. Well, I picked up a volume of The Walking Dead and I gave it a shot, and I'm here to talk about it. This is volume 1, Days Gone By, and it's from 2005. And it covers the first 6 single issues of The Walking Dead. There is a bigger compendium if you want to get the first, I think it's like 5 volumes or so. It's a little more expensive, but just because I was trying it, I wanted to see if I like it. And I have seen standalone episodes of Walking Dead. In fact, I recognize a couple of the scenes in this comic book. I had roommates try and turn me on to it at times, and I would just catch it bits here and there. The concept is around a police officer. His name is Rick. He's from Kentucky, Alex's home state, and he winds up in a little shootout in the road, Alex's backyard, and he winds up in some kind of like comatose in a hospital bed, and when he wakes up, there's zombies everywhere. Now, I don't think it's clear whether there were like zombies or not at the time of the shooting. There was like word around it, and so like it was supposed to blow over, and his family has evacuated to Georgia, and so he bears this in mind and is making his way out of the hospital into the streets, just figuring out what's going on. He doesn't even understand what the zombie phenomenon is. He sees like dead bodies on like the hospital ground, and then he's like saved by a family, like a dad and his son, and then he runs into this kid in the city in Georgia who helps him. He looks like the little guy in the second Indiana Jones movie, and it's a kind of really interesting story development. I think that what sets Walking Dead apart from like your typical comic book is that they try to have like a deeper kind of, I don't want to say political, but like I guess meaningful character storylines interact. So When he makes it back to the camp, like his family is there. But one of the issues is there's another guy in the camp and he was presumed dead. And so the wife ended up cheating on him with the man because she felt like she was alone. And then the guy starts to go crazy because like he just can't handle the isolation. He's lost everyone. And this is just one example of like one storyline. Every character is more than just and like a NPC or kind of like just a face. And so I think that really shines through in this first volume. There's a lot of interesting storylines like that, a lot of like complicated scenarios like do we go back into the city to go to the gun store because we are starting to get swarmed? Are they starting to follow us? How can we navigate these situations? And I think it's really impressive in that sense in that it's kind of an exercise in like in foreshadowing what will happen, like just like considering what are all of the possible outcomes here. I'm not much of a zombie guy, but I do appreciate that about this comic book. I do think some of the action scenes tend to kind of get brisked through, which I end up looking over it real quick, and then I missed it. I'm like, huh? Did something happen? People got shot. Another one that got brisked through was, at one point when he makes it back to Georgia chasing his family, he runs into the kid, and he's like, everyone who lived in the city here died. And he's like, everyone, my wife and my kids, what am I gonna do? He's like, listen, we got a camp over here. And then next page, they're right there. That one was a failure
Yeah.
in emotional storytelling to me, but I do think that for the majority of it, like it does land pretty well. And I can give some grace too. Like this is the first volume; these are the first couple issues, so I'm sure that some of these plot devices will get better as you go on. One thing I definitely appreciate is that it did not leave me on a cliffhanger at the end. Like there's a interesting kind of moral dilemma about like should kids wield guns in a zombie apocalypse? Can you trust them to do it? And the kid ends up being kind of a hero in the end with like some of the actions. So I was happily impressed with my reading of The Walking Dead Volume 1. I would continue it if it's something I was interested in collecting for. I might just go ahead and get the compilation or you know I like reading it in this fashion too. I've seen episodes of the show and it's cool, but I think that this is a good medium for it too, and I can see why it got picked up and became as popular as it did.
Nice. This is one I collect. I have that same volume, and that's also how I purchased them. Is like in those sets. Um, yeah, I've always liked The Walking Dead, even before the show, and I enjoyed the comics more. The show has its moments. It's good. Like it has some good stuff. It's also bad too at points as well. And they just will not stop. They have like 3 of them going now. I think. They need to knock it off. But yeah, I think this was a really good pick for you, Teddy, though, because it does have goofier moments, and the art style itself is like compared to other comics, it is like it's more stylized too. But yeah, it's like the subject matter is heavy, and like they always focus really well in on the characters. Were there any of the characters in this first volume that you really like attach yourself to?
Mm, I mean, aside from Rick, not really. I guess I like the wife. I think she's like a kind of cool, complicated character. There's a silent kind of dude. He's very quiet. He's a mechanic. I forget his name. And he dies very early on, but he's got an interesting little backstory. He kind of has like a hero moment. So I kind of that like protector vibe kind of resonates with me. But then there's a lot of unlikable characters too. There's the friend who was also on the police force.
Shane. Yeah, his name's Shane.
Shane, yeah.
Yeah.
And Shane's fishy. He's always like, "You want to go hunting? I think you should come hunting with me." It's like something's up. So, Shane does not resonate with me, but I think a couple of the other characters kind of get brisked over. I do think like that little kid from Georgia, like I don't know, he's not as complex as I'd like him to be. He's clearly made out to be like this cool kind of kid, but he's a little nervous, and even the kids, I guess I like the son or whatever. That's fine. No particular feelings about any of the other family members in the cabin area. There's a family that takes them in at one point. They're in and out. So I don't feel like I've had the time for any other characters to really resonate with me.
I think you would really like the game, at least the first two of like the Telltale ones, because they
A couple
use
of them
the
are
same
on sale. Season 1, 2 right now.
season 1 and 2 are worth it. After that, they're not great. But they use the same style as the comics, and they actually follow alongside the comics. They're not about Rick, but they're about other characters that also are also in Georgia. And every once in a while, you'll kind of cross paths with stuff from the comics. So like locations or even some characters sometimes will pop in that you're like, oh, I know that guy from the comics, or like or I guess from the show if you're watching the show too. Um, so yeah, if you like this, I think you would really like that too. And it has the gravity of like making choices. So.
Cool.
I have a lot of thoughts on The Walking Dead. I never really interfaced with it at all until my girlfriend, and she was like super super into it. Like they would have like watch parties to watch it, and not with me, but like she and her sister would follow it pretty religiously, and we watched it I think up until like season 6 together.
Oof.
And at that point, I think both of us were just like, I think we can just stop or something. But I really liked the first 2 seasons. And in my opinion, I think the show becomes like a woman's show post that. Because like the first couple seasons were like all about survival. And I think you can still tell like the societal stories you want to tell with the backdrop of like a zombie apocalypse and like real horror. And so they were trying to survive, and then those things would come up like, yeah, you've been with my wife but you guys thought I was dead. Okay, there's a lot of emotions going into that, so it's complicated. And they can still tell that while also being afraid of zombies. And then at a certain point, it might have been 3 years, season 4, I can't remember, but in one of them, they got to like a town, and they're like, "We're just gonna make living in towns work." And at that point, I'm like, "Oh, this is a show for women. Like, this is not."
Yeah.
The zombies are like a thing that's like outside, and they're kind of there, but they're not like nobody cares anymore. And so, and like The Walking Dead is it went on for so long that it was like it started almost the wave of zombie things. It was like right at the beginning of that, maybe even helped push it. And it was like, oh, it'd be cool. It'd be cool if like in a zombie thing, your real enemies are like the people. And that was like a thing. And then, but it kept going for so long that everyone got sick of zombies. They're like, yeah, we don't really like zombies anymore. And they're like, we're going to keep going. And I think only the women stayed to watch. Because all I hear of the people that like the show are just like chicks. So.
Yeah, the show's overrated. It's good. It has good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the first, like I said, the first like 4 seasons up through whenever they like took on the governor guy, eye patch and stuff, and they were like in the prison. It's good. It's like really good. And then like after that, yeah, it just kind of falls off.
I think Negan is a cool character, but he's just kind of stuck with like everything else. And
yeah.
It's that story, the Negan story is basically just the governor.
I blame fucking Daryl, man, because Daryl didn't exist in the comics, and then they made him for the show. And then he was like a heartthrob. And like I have nothing against Norman Reedus. I like Norman Reedus. But the character Daryl, it's just like took that show, and like he's still going. He has his own show now and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I couldn't none of the girls would shut up about Daryl.
It's one of those things I don't get. Like what I'm a dude, so I guess I don't want to fuck guys, but like Daryl? Like that guy?
Yeah, Daryl, like he looks sweaty and his hair is sideways.
It's
and
like a head
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a head
Daryl,
scratcher.
that guy?
Maybe I really don't know what women want, because this is confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like even before the apocalypse, he didn't know what deodorant was.
Yeah. But I bought my girlfriend the compendium.
Oh no! Did you have to look up Daryl? Who Daryl was?
I did.
Yeah, he's made up for the show. He's not in the original story. Like you would have, at the point you went to in the book, Teddy. Daryl's already shown up in the show.
Yeah, I think I've seen him in the show, like in standalone episodes. He's like a complicated character, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
I don't see
complicated.
it.
He's dangerous.
yeah.
He's rugged.
Maybe that's why
Sexy.
women like him. I don't know.
Yeah.
They chained his brother to a rooftop.
Was his brother in it? In
Yeah,
the
his brother.
comics?
His brother was. No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
never mind. No, in the show. No, also made up. The show.
Good
I like that
character,
his
cool
brother.
guy. He's a good
Yeah,
actor.
he was played by what's his name? He's
The
in
guy
like a
from
lot
Guardians, right?
Yeah, he's in a lot of not James. Yeah, James Gunn stuff, including Guardians. Yeah, and he plays Yondu, and he says, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." It's the best line in that movie, and two. That's the best line in Guardians too. Yeah, just like Mary Poppins. Was he cool? Hell yeah. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. That's
His
best
claim to
dialogue
fame.
I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
What up, Denny's?
Yeah. What the fuck is up, Denny? Or whatever that was.
I'm Mary
Dad-
Poppins, y'all.
Daddy, I'm curious, man. What movie did you watch? I'm curious now.
Well, I watched two actually. One of them is
Oh.
also from the 70s, and they're both in the same series. I watched Alien and Aliens.
Oh, wow. I was just talking about Alien like yesterday. Nice.
Nice.
So, the first one, a fucking
Oh, it's
masterpiece.
iconic. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a film classic.
Love that
You know what I
movie.
really enjoyed about the first Alien was, I play movies on the TV with the sound bar, and there are moments in that movie that are like just so quiet. You can just hear everything that's not coming from your TV. Like everything in the hallway in the apartment building or like outside.
Yeah.
It's like, this is eerie. And then all of a sudden it just starts crescendoing.
Mhm.
So I think it's like, I get like 2001 kind of vibes almost. Everything's very intentional in cinematography. And no, it has like the horror elements. I had started Alien, but for some reason I got up to the part where the alien pops out of the stomach, and it was too grotesque for me at the time. Maybe I was eating something or something. I don't know. But so I never finished it, but I went all the way through, and I was really happy I did. And just hearing all the talk about it, I definitely see all the Metroid connections. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
escape sequence every time. But no, just a lot of questions too about like the nature of the aliens, and also like the AI and the computers and like all these interwoven storytelling.
Mhm.
Like the company mission, like that they don't really tell, like in the contract,
The
like you will be
android
woken up.
dude. Oh my god, the android dude with the
Yeah.
white blood stuff. That freaks me out every time I watch that movie.
The first time we saw it, I thought it was an alien, and so I was like,
Yeah.
I thought he was getting infested, and then it's like, oh, like this is different. And yeah, the computer's like not really giving straight answers about like what to do or whatnot. And then like you see his intentions revealed more clearly, because he leaves the door open so that they can come in, despite Ripley like trying to like take command because she's the CO, or commanding flight officer. So I was really impressed by a lot of like the storytelling in the film.
And Aliens was a movie too, right?
Yeah, aliens happened.
I think you guys dunk on it a little too hard. I enjoyed it.
Eh.
uh,
I think it's
It's a-
it's good for what it
it's a-
is.
yeah, it's because it marks a turning point that it never should have taken, where they tried to turn it into an 80s action series.
See, I
I
I
disagree
see
with
it
that.
more as like survival. It's more like a zombie thing than
I
anything.
don't know.
I see. I guess we all see it differently. I see it as like, well, the first one worked. Let's make it, like you said, an 80s movie, an 80s action movie. And then but I don't think they stuck with that. I think then they turned it again, and we're like, let's make it back to the first one, except load it with plot.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yes.
Loaded with plot and machine guns and everything. A lot more aliens.
oh no,
And
two
you
is
do really see
but Aliens
the
came out
horror?
in 86.
right.
Anyway,
And that one definitely has like Super Metroid vibes. Like,
oh yeah.
Get away from her, you bitch! I love that.
Well, I think the problem with with Aliens, if you're looking at it from the lens of the first one, is that there isn't any horror because they have weapons that prove to be able to murder the aliens.
Yeah,
Pretty,
that's
no,
when it
that's not
turns.
true though. I don't agree with that. because those same weapons are catastrophic to them, and they can't use them in the hive. And also, the acidic reflux of the aliens destroys these guys' hands. The strongest people they send in, besides Hudson, in the hive, immediately are eviscerated.
Yeah.
And besides which, a couple of these ships, like, they get stranded on the planet, and they have 17 days to survive. Like, that's straight out of like most of these like zombie style films. I'm sure this may predate a lot of them, but
I don't know. I just feel like with aliens, I don't feel the fear. I feel like they're not vulnerable. They may be vulnerable, but they don't feel vulnerable. They're just like, I have guns and I'm gonna run in.
Successful as in the first one. I mean, because the first one, there's no weapons, right? Like, what are they except a flamethrower that they're using in the duct?
Yeah.
And a harpoon that she uses like in the end sequence. So like they're very limited, but it's the single alien. And I think in this one, it's a different type of fear, and it doesn't land as hard. And I don't think cinematically it's like told as impressively. I think it's more like cheesy,
Yeah.
like a bit. But I think it goes to show that like the brute strength isn't everything too. And then like when she first sees the freaking queen of the aliens, like, and then she's stepping back, she's got the kid, like she just accidentally steps in there. That's an awesome sequence.
Yeah, I don't think Aliens is a bad movie. It's definitely not as strong as the first one.
Of course,
but like I said, I think I don't like it because I can recognize points in the movie that I'm like, oh, they're gonna like lead hard into this later on. That's why I don't like it per se. Yeah. And if I can give you any advice, Teddy, get off here. Get off.
Well, I have the quadrilogy, so I will be continuing.
All right. Do you know what the alternate ending for Alien was? The first one?
I know I don't.
I knew it. What is it?
So in the alternate ending, Ripley dies. They like the alien. They get in the pod thing and are going back to Earth. The alien kills Ripley, and then is able to mimic her voice and gets on the comms and tells them that they killed the alien and they're coming home to bring people for him. And then that's just how it ends. It's like a really dark and sad ending. But
I don't know if I could buy that. Like, that would be so. Based on what I know about the alien, like I just couldn't see that.
It got cut for a reason, right?
well, at the time that was the only movie, so it wasn't like.
Yeah.
Because I think it was under the impression that like he could like. The point of the alien is that he's good at mimicking his surroundings and is able to adapt to things, and so the idea was that he would be able to like channel her body and like use that voice. Obviously,
that's what makes.
Like as if it infected her or something. In the same way that like when the one guy wakes up and then he's sitting at the lunch table.
Right. It's like it's weird. How they did it is strange, and obviously they didn't pick it. And down now the alien is so well defined that I'm sure there's books on it and everybody knows everything.
I envy you, Teddy, for getting to watch that movie without knowing anything about the xenomorphs. Because now I know too much about the xenomorphs, and I wish I didn't. Because that's like the beauty of that movie is that it's just you just don't know what this thing is, you know. And you don't know what's capable.
I think like that's what I appreciate about Aliens is that like despite it being a different kind of movie, it stays consistent with like the plot and the storyline of the first movie. It's not like a complete spin-off. It follows from a science fiction perspective.
Yeah.
all things, you know what? All things considered, I do think that new one looks like good from the trailer.
My coworker said it's good.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it, but I know I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get excited. I'm gonna the movies. I'm gonna watch or rent it. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna watch it. And then I'm just gonna be like, "Fucking fucked up alien."
Red Letter Media.
I'm gonna get to it.
Red Letter Media basically confirmed my suspicions on that one, but
I didn't check anything from them.
They did say that the first third was really good.
Oh well, hey, I get to see some of a good alien movie.
Yeah, you get to see a third of a really good alien movie, which is pretty cool. But I know
just
that
don't
all
think-
these just end up with like, a scientist goes, "What's that egg?" And then he walks in, and then he goes, "Ah!" Then alien just becomes that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be able to look at Metroid the same, but oh well.
Like, is it negative? I mean, I see it. It's an homage. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I guess just impact wise, like I think things like the escape sequence are much more felt in the movie than like, and I've never felt like, oh, the escape sequence in Metroid is what makes it. But I mean, like it's just not equivalent.
There's a lot of things in Metroid. I mean, just like the tension from that first movie is like what Metroid also goes for. The like loneliness, and uncertainty. I think there's a lot of aspects of that movie carry over.
I'm always impressed when they try to do stuff. When they try to like invoke an emotion out of you in a video game, especially like in the Super Nintendo era and the NES era, like the things that they're able to do with just almost nothing. Like with Contra, like the bridge just collapsing in front of you. Obviously, it's like it looks like shit, but like it's cool that they were like it would get the people that are playing excited or fearful or something. So yeah, it's a good try.
Well, we did it, boys. We talked about some comic books and Alien, which I'm sure has comic. It does have comic books. Of course, it does because it exists, and everything that exists has a comic book.
Oh my god, that stupid like when we were in the game talk thing, and someone was like, "What video game would make the best comic book?" And we started mentioning it, and immediately in the comics, there's a comic about that already. That one exists already. It's like, oh my god, I know. Who cares? Who cares?
It's I guess it's such like an easy medium to like expand upon stories and advertise,
Yeah.
So it makes sense that like literally everything has a comic book point of some sorts. Yeah. So
We'll say I enjoyed kind of going out of my comfort zone to like try and read some like comic book, and I think like this was a good like episode for me in that sense. So I'm happy I did. And yeah, if it's something viewers enjoy, hey, just subscribe and let us know.
yeah, we probably won't do this again because this is only comic book month. But yeah, let us know.
Maybe for Literature Month.
Yeah,
we still got manga month somewhere in there.
Manga month. Oh, that's gonna be interesting. I want to see what Spencer reads for manga month. I have a few. I think I have One Piece and I have like the first volume of Fist of the North Star.
I've got some mangas on my shelf.
Yeah, are they like game mangas? Or are they like?
I got Zelda. I think I got a
like
Phoenix
Zelda,
Wright one.
Dragon Quest or something. Persona.
No Dragon Quest.
The Kirby.
Kirby. Yeah, you got the Kirby manga.
Yeah, I got Zelda. I got Phoenix Wright. I'm ready.
Kirby.
I don't have Kirby. Why would you do that? Why would you have Kirby?
Why don't you?
Good question.
Yeah.
Kirby sucking skeletons.
Oh my god, dude! So my favorite thing in like comic book wise is Scott Pilgrim, but I was like, does that count? Is that a manga? Because it's like in the style of a manga.
Do you read it back to front?
No, you read it like left to right, like normal.
Oh, that's a comic book.
It's like stylized like manga.
Doesn't matter.
But it's by a Canadian.
There you go. Left to right, it's by Canadian.
Yeah, manga's the art style though.
Yeah, exactly. Manga's the art style. So like,
isn't manga always right to left?
I mean, that's just Japan.
Isn't that what manga is?
I don't know.
Does
it matter? Is that what matters? Is the way is the...
Oh my god, you're getting all like philosophical about it.
no, I'm asking
illustration style. That's what it is.
Yeah, in the illustration style in Scott Pilgrim books are like manga. It's like very Japanese inspired.
The term manga is used in Japan to refer to both comics and cartooning. Outside of Japan, the word is typically used to refer to comics originally published in Japan. So Scott Pilgrim would not be a manga.
But they did publish it in Japan.
I'm gonna reach through. I'm gonna reach through the internet and murder you right now.
Well, it would take me forever to explain Scott Pilgrim, so I'm glad I picked up this stupid Turok book.
I think we all know. You don't have to explain Scott Pilgrim. We get it.
Yeah. Okay. How do you-
1950s Japanese from mon, rambling / aimless, and ga, picture. A rambling picture.
Gah.
Is Scott Pilgrim a rambling picture or an aimless picture?
Some panels.
There we go.
Sure. All right. Join us next week where we haven't decided what we're doing next week. Do you want to do the movie one or do you want to do the game talk? Yeah, again.
He's a man.
What do you guys want? I'm taking votes here.
Movie.
votes now.
I do movie.
Movie. Teddy.
Okay, I do game.
Okay. I'm gonna do game and then we'll do movie. How about that? And then go back. And then we'll finish off with Batman.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's right, Spencer. Because you couldn't agree that Scott Pilgrim's a manga, a manga.
I'm being punished for a question that you asked me.
Yeah, that's right. That's
seem
right.
fair.
That's how this works. This is a dictatorship, baby.
Welcome to America.
So yes, we will do another game talk next week, probably live. So tune in for that, and we'll talk about some games based on or themed around the concept of comic books. And then after that, I don't know. I'll probably like eat dinner that night after we get done.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Good idea.
Yeah. Join us next Saturday. Bye. I love you. Bye. Bye, everybody.